Hey everybody, I am Big Will, and this is video 2 of Bad Advice. Now, we're not giving out bad advice. We have been hearing what we believe to be some bad advice. Now, we're not going to be telling you today what to do. We're just going to be saying, hey, maybe pump the brakes. Analyze a little bit. Let's walk through some of this stuff. We'll be going through all sorts of things. We got prices to look up. We got census data. We got all kinds of stuff. We're going deep tonight, brother. And when I say we, I don't mean me and my imaginary friend. I mean we. Who dat? What's going on?
What's going on, man? Seems like I just saw you just a few minutes ago.
Yeah. For those of you who may not already know, Who Dat just got through doing a CGC pricing update video, and I was in it.
And basically, we just read over, kind of glanced over the stuff. Basically, said our thoughts on each subject, and this at the end of the day, we'll say we're not too happy.
Yeah. All right. So.
Share this on my end.
Let's see here. That is the wrong thing I was looking for. By the way, Who Dat? I don't know about you, but I would like to make an addendum to our first video. In our first video, we had said that we would sell Silver Surfer number 3 right now in this market.
Yes.
And I would like to, for me, you don't have to, but for me, I'm going to say I would like to change that. I think I was wrong. I would say hold for now rather than sell. And the reason why is because I literally that weekend went to a comic convention. Mm-hmm. We also mentioned that you should not buy West Coast Avengers 45. Every single comic vendor, just about, when you went in to trade something or you were looking to buy something, they had a West Coast Avengers 45 and they were showing it to you and they were trying to get rid of it at $100 a pop or more. I don't remember one seller having a Silver Surfer 3 on the wall. I saw 4 and I saw plenty of Silver Surfer 1s, but not a single number 3 was on the wall available for sale.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm changing my view on that. So
my view on it is kind of sell, but I think the price is going to dip again, so you could actually buy it back. But like you said, it might be harder to find to buy it back. Yeah, because people since that character hasn't shown up and might not show up at all.
Right.
People are holding. They're holding.
Anyway, I just wanted to go over that real quick. But first, let's say we got a couple people here in the chat. We got Las Cruces, 1971. John's Comics with Kids is here, and Simply Incredible Podcast. What's going on, man? It's been a long time. I should be on Sean's show tomorrow if he has it. And no, he's never invited. He gets weird. But anyway, we have 4 new books for you today. Once we get through the video, sometime tonight, I'll actually input the timestamps. Right now, you just see the different books in the description of the video. But the first one we're going to start with, Who Dat has no idea about the order, by the way. I'm just telling it to him now live. We're doing it live.
What's up, Hialeah?
Yeah. Hialeah. What's going on, man? So, first book, Amazing Spider-Man 238.
Good guess. I had that pulled up on GPA.
What are your opinions on Amazing Spider-Man 238? Because I got to looking at the data and I'm thinking, well, I'll tell you what I'm thinking later. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, if it's a raw copy, depending on the price, I would buy. But if it's a slab copy, 9.6 or better, a 9.6 or 9.8, I'm not buying. And you have no rhyme or reason right now to there's no confirmation. It's only a lot that one's a lot of speculation because I've been saying this thing a lot on my auctions now. Spec that's not a spec. That book right there is a straight spec. We don't know its character's coming. We don't know if there even any talks about the character coming. We just know Ned Leeds is in there, and Ned Leeds, becomes the Hobgoblin, but there's no mention of that.
Yeah, this is not Ned Leeds.
Ned Leeds that's not it.
The next Hobgoblin.
Second Hobgoblin, yes.
Yeah. And the guy that plays Ned Leeds lost a bunch of weight, and everyone was all going crazy for it. Like, oh, he's playing Hobgoblin. Well, there's no basis in that. We're just assuming he slimmed down for that reason. I mean, it could be he's like me and goes up a flight of stairs and is winded and is like, maybe I should lose weight. I mean, it could be for that reason. We don't know.
Maybe it was just that reason, and he knew he could actually get a better system in place with Marvel because he's seen what they've done with other people in the past.
Yeah. So one thing you will notice if you watched our last video, I was using Go Collect. And while Go Collect is fine, I have actually switched from Go Collect to I'm using Cover Price now because it has pretty much the same stuff Go Collect does with the addition of raw comic data. Now, it's not as accurate being raw comics, of course, but it still has that data. So it gives me a little bit more of an insight. It's not that much more expensive. I think it's like 90-something cents more expensive, and I still have GPA. Mm-hmm. So let's take a look at this right here on the Cover Price.
Yeah, because I think the price is going to shock a lot of people, too.
Yeah, it's first appearance of Hobgoblin. Let's move on down here. Here we go. The most common grade is a 9.6 FMV 1,191. Check this out. 9.8s, $3,580.
You want to know something funny about those two prices, Will?
What?
The 9.8 price was the 9.6 price maybe not less than a year ago.
The 9.6 price was the 9.8 price?
Yeah, that's why I might have said it incorrectly. But the price that the 9.6 is at, that was a 9.8 price.
You want to hear another something funny? I remember when $500 was the 9.8 price.
So this tells you where we are in the market.
Yeah, but here's what I found very interesting is that when you scroll down on the slab data portion to about a 6.0, look at this. We go from 420, 395, 132. Then the FMV jumps up when you go down in grade. Then it jumps up significantly when you go even further down. And then look at the FMV for a 6.0 because there's only been 3 recorded sales, so they were probably years ago. So that tells me this book is pretty heavy above an 8.0. 8.0 and better is where this book shines as far as where all the grades are at. Because, I mean, look at this. We go from 3 to 13 to 10 to 23, 33, 31, 37, 66, 124, and then 62.
Hard book to get in a 9.8. And that's as you can see that big jump in price at 9. I mean, not price, but numbers 9.6. Yeah.
This book is, to me, if you have it, you're probably going to have an 8.0 or better, unless you just happen to have one you had for a while, or it was in a collection you bought and you didn't even realize it, and then you probably have a lower grade. But yeah,
or you did like me, and I bought it, like I said, years ago. I paid fair market value for a raw copy, but it came back at 9.8. I mean, it happens, but that was literally like 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do now is stop sharing that screen, and we're going to go to the GPA screen so we can look at the graph. I love the graph on GPA. It's my favorite thing about it. And there's also some interesting things over here on GPA. You can see that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the 9.8 graph. Look at that. This book is a steady beast. Look at that. He's rock steady for the most part, even right up in here where you see all these sales bunched up, fairly steady. And then all of a sudden we're in a huge
it literally went straight up.
Yeah, now right about here is January 31st. I believe that's when the picture started coming out, wasn't it?
I think that's when he posted on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in
He,
there, or it could have been the previous month, and this is what happened in the aftermath. So now the current price is down a little bit to 28.44 in last month. So it is going down a little bit, but it's probably going to shoot up again once people start remembering the actor that played Ned Leeds. But
yeah.
let's take a look at the graph down below here at 6.0. Look at that. Almost no sales, but it is increasing. So what this tells me is if you want this book and you got the money, we're not telling you what to do. Go ahead and buy it. But if you're buying to flip, I would not buy it in high grade, and I would not buy it in low grade. So I wouldn't even buy it right now. I'd wait to see what happens. Wait to
Uh-huh.
see if we can get some, a plateauing of the cost of the book
Yeah.
here. Because if you're buying it to flip and you can't afford but maybe say a 6.0 or something, well then I don't know if you can really flip that, because what happens if he doesn't become Hobgoblin? What happens
Yes.
if he dies? What happens if this? What happens if that? I mean, it's a 6.0. Most people will have it in an 8.0 or better, as we can see with the sales data. And then if you buy it in high grade, it's already at a bit of a peak. Yeah, it might go higher, but I don't know, man. This book is red flags for me. I would
It's
I would say hold up, pump the brakes.
Yeah, it's big red flags on this book. 'Cause I saw a couple videos, people posting like the top 10, Spider-Man keys to get and stuff like that, or and this was on it. And but like you said, high grade. And then people have to remember that book had tattoos in them, so
Oh
you
yeah,
have to be very mindful of that. It might look like high grade, or tattoos made an impression, and then you have to have the right presser to press that. It's a lot of factors with that book that people forget about, because it could look high graded on the outside, but the tattoos could be missing, or the tattoos could have made an indent that you got to press out. And if you, like I said, if you don't have the right presser to do it, they will make a mistake and press the tattoos into that book, and then you'll have a kind of a square in it. So it's like, yeah, but like I said, it's red flags on this because we have no idea what's going on. It
yeah,
just shot up. People, what happened? What happened when that picture came up? People pulled all their 9.8s on eBay. Pulled them all for about a month. They had maybe one 9.8 listed, um, and I think they had a few sales, like the 3,000 plus sales, and then they started popping up again. So that's what kind of people have to be mindful. It's not a hard book. It's not a super hard book to get a 9.8, but it's very difficult. So if I wanted to get a high grade copy, I would get a raw high grade copy, and meaning a VF near mint, which is a 9.0, and go from there. But I'm not telling you to buy it. But if that's me, that's what I'm looking to get. I'm not gonna shoot for the 9.8, because that's basically like the price of what Avengers 4 used to be.
yeah. So our next book is one that I picked for the list, and it brings back memories of my childhood, man. It's based on a cartoon. I love this cartoon. It's amazing. Oddly enough, it was Disney. It's a Disney cartoon, believe it or not. And what am I talking about, you might ask? Well, I'll show you right here. I'm taking us back to 1995 with Gargoyles #1.
Good old Gargoyles.
Yeah. What do you know anything about this book? Who that?
Besides, I don't know anything about the book, but I'm a kid of the '80s, so I do remember the cartoon. So that's how I know of the book from the cartoons.
Yeah,
Um,
I knew the cartoon first as well, and then I never knew there was a book until a few years ago, actually. But then I'm thinking, well, of course there would be. It was a cartoon, you know.
yeah,
All of them back in the day had comics.
Yeah, they all came out with comics, especially if they were successful as cartoons.
Right. But as far as I know, I haven't heard any major thing about this, but it went crazy recently. And let me just show you what I mean. If I go down here, here we go. Most common grade 9.8, $609. Look at that. And now we had one sale at $760. Look at that. And as low as $80 for this slab. So let's go in deeper for these 13 sales here.
That's crazy.
All right, so check this out. In April, they're all over $560, but just in March, the previous month, you got $250. But the interesting thing is you go back to December and lower, it's like a little over $100 or right at $100. In 2018, it was like an $80 book. So for some reason, recently, this thing has just shot up in price. And I mean, if you got one, great. But if you're looking to buy one and you want a 9.8, wait.
Yeah, and that's a book that's extremely difficult. That's like we talked about the Turtle Adventures one. Kids book. This was meant to be a kid's book.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's very rare and high grade, but I would not buy a high grade.
Yeah. I mean, if you got it, great. But the thing I want to mention is that I had mentioned before the age of nostalgia. Like we have.
It's coming to form.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Well, he's talking about age of nostalgia. He's talking about how people are getting old enough for the Turtles. Same people are getting old enough for Gargoyles. So that's what he's referencing, the age of nostalgia.
But sorry, that was my mama. But I was going to say the age of nostalgia is everyone who loved Spider-Man in the black suit back in the day is old enough now. Like the example I like to use is Reggie Collects. So he went back and got all those Spider-Man black costume appearances, even the appearances that are proto appearances beforehand. But there is no real age of nostalgia for Gargoyles. I mean, there's people like me and you that remember it fondly, but even 20 years ago, I could go to a convention or go to a Walmart and there would be somebody with the Thundercats symbol on a shirt. I've never seen someone with a Gargoyle shirt anywhere. I don't even think I've seen it cosplayed anywhere.
No.
So it did not have an impact like the others did, even though some people remember it like I do, and it was a great show. So you got to be careful with that. So let's look at our graph and the data from GPA.
And the one thing to touch on is also about the show. I think I'm 100% sure about this. I believe it was relaunched on Disney Plus, not as a new series, but I think they relaunched the old episodes. And that kind of brought people back.
Yeah, it is now on Disney Plus. It has 3 seasons. It's 3 seasons. And let's check out this graph here. You thought the other graph had a straight shoot. I wonder what this one's going to be like.
Wow. Look at the 9.6 as well.
Bam, look at that. Almost nothing for a good long while. There's like 3 sales since 2008 to 2015. And then all of a sudden, Disney Plus, got to be talking about and everything else, and it got more and more. Now look at all these sales, and the price just shot up to where it's insane now. Mm-hmm. Like there's a sale that apparently cover price does not have, because if you look right here, the highest sale they have, instead of 13, 16 sales with $810 being the highest.
And I guarantee I know what the 810 was, because I see GPA that didn't have it, and I didn't think the cover price had it. They have a newsstand version of this book.
I bet you that might be it.
I've seen it on auctions.
Newsstand is extremely rare.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's $810 rare, but it is rare. So I guess what are we saying with this book then? Pretty much, if you got it and it's high grade, grade it. If you want it in high grade, hold up. Don't buy slabbed. Maybe not even buy raw. Just wait.
Yeah, they've had a ton of those on a lot of the YouTube auctions in the past. So some people got some good deals on it. And if you could scroll down to I don't know if you're gonna do the 9.6, because I want you to see the last sale of the 9.6.
The last sale of the 9.6 was $610.
$10.
That may be a newsstand.
Maybe a newsstand as well.
Let's break out those sales because we can do that thanks to mashing this button right here. So let's see. Okay, yeah, that must be a newsstand because the last sale was $200 on the 2nd of April, and then a whopping $610 on April 7th. So that had to be a newsstand.
Which honestly, me or Will, any one of you guys are watching, you can email GPA, and they're pretty good about fixing stuff like this. They'll actually probably add the tab for newsstand, because I've done it before with other stuff, and they got back to me in like a day or two, and all of a sudden they either it was something they had to take off because they had a Pence copy of a book that was in with the regular copies. And I was like, when I did my research, I went to the auction house. It was a Pence copy, so I emailed them, told them. They emailed me back, say thank you for noticing that. We going to correct that. Blah blah blah. And then when I looked back the next day, they took the Pence copy and put it in the correct section. So I guarantee if you email them and say, hey, these sales look kind of funny because they might be newsstands, they might add that tab like they did for the Turtles Adventure 1. Because some books, if you notice, they say newsstand on it, and then some books they leave it alone. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, until someone is willing to pay an obscenely different amount for it, there's no reason to break it out. So I can understand why they do that, and it's easier to input it when you don't have to break it out too.
Yeah. And man, here we're talking about Gargoyles #1.
Yeah, and that I think we're pretty much good to go with Gargoyles #1. So are we ready for our next book then?
Yep. Which one is this one?
This one is yeah. So I did not pick this one. You picked this one, and it's a book that is. Do what?
I don't even remember what I picked because this is the first one I picked.
It's a lot of people are saying it is the new AF-15.
Yeah.
So we have Ultimate Fallout #4, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you were wanting to talk about specifically the second print.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is go down here. Are you talking about this one with his face?
No, actually, the other one that shows his face, like the same cover, but his face is shown.
Right here?
Yep.
Okay, this second print right here, same exact cover, except instead of the title card being over him, obscuring him, you can see his face. So what are you thinking about this one? Because I had no idea on this one. I'm just going to talk based on the data I see. So what do you want to say?
And this is nothing but saying people. I've seen people trying to push this book on IG claim sales more so than anything, and they're selling them at, I want to say, crazy prices, in my opinion, because I might go back to this LCS and see if they have it. It's mainly a card shop. They had a long box full of the second prints of this one and the Sarah Pacelli cover. And they were selling them for $1. If I would have knew at the time this was going to happen, yes, I would have probably grabbed the whole box, and had them. But this, in my opinion, is not the one you want to purchase for a second print. I would go after the Pacelli, but a lot of people are pushing that one.
All right. So let's go here and check out these prices for this thing. All right. Most common grade, 9.8. FMV 1034. So there are our prices. This is a second print, and a 9/8's over $1,000.
Over $1,000, and the reason why they have more 9/8s, I think, if the chat can correct me, I don't think this one was delivered in a poly bag. So you have a better opportunity to get 9/8s because, as you know, with that poly bag on first print, it left a crease.
Well, according to this, there's about a 40% more. Or I don't know about 40%, but there's 40 more 9.8 sales in listed the 9.6 right here at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, what this tells me is it's got 37 and then 1,040. That is huge. Let's see when that changed. Because that's a big flag.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's looking like it looks like October. But nope, not October. Someone just got a steal of a deal. Wow, this thing's actually been expensive for a good while. All right, here we go. January of 2020, $87, 120, 120, and then 80. Someone had a good day at 225 in December of 19, and then 79, 103. So, and then there's these weird sales occasionally, like October of 2019, 305. But so this book has had its price increase from say $100 in 1 year to
a grand.
Looks like $300 roughly, and then from January to now, it's went from $300 to over $1,000.
Yeah, that's the type of return on if people had investments, they would retire. If somebody tells if you tell anybody who has the money to do it and say, hey, if you give me $300 in a few months, it'll be $1,000. They'll try to give you as much $300 as they can possibly.
Yeah. So what were you saying about this book then?
So, when you showed the lowest price that they showed, that's why I was telling the story about finding a whole bunch for $1. And people are saying if you can't get the first, get the second print. If you got $1,000 to spend, you can actually get, I think, 2 raw copies of the first print. And if you learn how to grade, like we talked about before, then that's why I was like, I don't like people pushing people to a book that that you want to get in a 9.8. You don't want to get a 9.6 or lower. I'm
a bit wary of second prints in general, unless they really change the art. To me, just making his head appear isn't much of a change. So I don't like this book.
Yeah, I don't like that one as much. And that's why I said the Sarah Pacelli one is the one I like.
Let's look at this, the GPA on it, so we can see the graph. So we have Ultimate Fallout 4. Let's see here. Here we go. Second print. Now there's multiple second printings. So this one is the Bagley, right?
Yes.
Okay, let it load up there. Whoa.
Nope.
That's it right there.
Oh, that is it? Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Pacelli variant, and then
Pacelli, they have it. Yes, yeah.
So I assume this is the other 9. This is the standard 9.8 we were looking at on the other one. I'm scared. Okay, that's a pretty crazy looking graph.
I like how it dips
crazy.
And goes
I mean, up all of a sudden.
Yeah, it has the dip and then goes up. It goes from a dip, a pretty significant dip, then with the height. Like it's like that's like a roller coaster, literally.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
And for the same cover, just something a little different.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay $1,000. And as you saw, the Sarah Pacelli one is a white one, completely different, beautiful artwork.
I know it has a better graph too, because look at this. It was nothing, and then it went up, went down slightly, but not as far, and then it's creeped up, and it's going up at more of a gradual pace than the other one.
And that's the one I like.
I like just by looking at the graphs and the data. I think this one is much safer to get into now than the other one.
Yes. Even buying the slab prices, I think. But I'm not saying to do it, but
yeah, I'm not either. I am not as knowledgeable.
But if you look at the numbers and the graphs, especially the numbers. If you have $1,000, you actually can buy 2 of the Sarah Pacellis because they're 500. So as I say, you look at the numbers in the graph. Tells the tale.
Who Dat was saying he doesn't think that the second print was polybag, but he's not.
I don't think it was, but I'm not 100%. Because I didn't get this book off the newsstand, but when I found, that's why the reason why I say when I found those second prints, none of them were in bags, like polybags. They're literally just in a box, and they just had a whole bunch of them. And so that's why I assumed that the second prints didn't have polybags. So that's why I would say they have a high number of 9.8s.
Yeah. All right. So the next book we're going to look at is one that I picked, and I also picked a second printing. Now, what I picked was a first appearance. First appearance of a pretty cool character, actually. But it's been a $10 book for over 30 years, and it's also been basically dollar bin fodder kind of book where, what am I talking about, you ask? Well, I'll show you right here. I am talking about the X-Men from the future. That's right. Oh, crap. I forgot his name for a second. Oh, it's Bishop. I'm talking about Bishop. But specifically his second print. Now, I want you guys to look here. This is the second printing. This is the first print. Look at the differences there. Now, that actually isn't the first print, but it looks the same. You see, it's colored. It's Jim Lee. Basically, all they did was change all the white to gold. That's pretty much it. And people are going crazy for this book, man. It's weird. Do you have anything to say before we dig into this one? Because I'm like, no.
Yeah, because the key things you said just a few seconds ago. That's why I'm like, because it's but you can, if you buy it off of eBay at back in the past, it's like $10 total. With the shipping and everything. But literally, you could have found that book in dollar bins, or people was giving them away as extra books. Like, hey, here's the second print of First Bishop. It wasn't worth.
Yeah,
nothing.
I know it. I don't have a copy because I'm one of the few collectors that keeps their collection really pared down to bare bones, just what I really like. But almost every person that I know that collects comics not only has 2 copies of the first print, they probably got a copy or 2 of the second print too by accident. I mean, really. So let's dig into this, the pricing specifically on the second print, which first off, it reminds me of New Mutants 87 second print. It just makes it an ugly cover.
Yeah, I don't care for the gold.
Yeah, that gold does not look good at all. I mean, look at that last recorded sales for Raw, $5.40. So this right here. But you got people used to paying $26 for this thing. Now the fair market value is apparently $200. People are starting to pay a lot for the first print, like up to $300. And so now people are suggesting, well, if you can't do the first print, do the second print. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Look at this. Even the highest raw sale is $22.36. Don't pay for this book in a 9.8 unless you want to. If you spend $50 or less, I can forgive you. But I would not buy this for more than $50 in a slab shipped. More than $50 shipped in a slab. It's just bad news to me, man. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's a lot because of the numbers of that print count that people forget.
Yeah, I know. It's before I share this screen, I actually checked into that. The first print had a little north of 400,000 print run. Let's say the second print was a quarter of that. And now let's say half of that got destroyed in a fire for whatever reason. We're left with 50,000 copies, and if a third of those are 9.8 material, that's still like what? 15,000, 10,000 copies?
Yeah.
I mean, just
Yeah.
so let's look at what GPA has over here. So as soon as it loads, we'll go into the graph and see if it shows us anything, specifically if it shows us more sales. And it does. It looks like it does.
Yeah, I think it's actually.
Yeah, look at that. When I see a graph that has such few sales, but yet it's gone up significantly like this. Well, I mean, even from $100 in 2019 to wait a second. Is that the first print? Nope, second print. I'm looking at the second print. I had to double check because it shocked me. I mean,
yeah, I was like that 290. I was like, hold up, is it?
Yeah, but yes, apparently someone paid $290 for this. It's the second print, people, and it's an ugly second print at that. And it's a second print that probably has thousands of copies. Now we have yet to do this for all the books, but I'm going to do it on my phone. We'll go through all of them real quick to kind of add a little bit more to what we're saying. So this book on the census, the CGC census, we don't have time for me to open up a tab for CBCS, but for the CGC census, the second print right here, let's see, this is the second print I'm looking at, right? Nope, that is not the second print. Well, crap. Oh, I'm looking at Amazing Spider-Man 238. Well, hey, since I'm there, why don't we look at that? Here's the data for all of them for the census. So let's go back through. We had ASM 238. Census data on it. Now, this is actual census data. I'm on CGC. Total numbers. 7,454 copies graded. Of those, 579 9.8s, 1,544 9.6s.
Wow, that's not even that's a small percentage.
Yeah,
of what's graded.
Let's go to Gargoyles 1. Gargoyles, issue number 1. Oops. Issue number 1 here. Now, this one probably won't have as many on the census because it's only recently been popular. But I got big fingers. But we're looking at 164 on the census. Of those, 97 are 9.8. 164 on the census. Of those, 97 are 9.8s. So, yeah, that's very interesting. Now, next up is Ultimate Fallout number 4. Ultimate Fallout number 4. How many do you think we have now?
For the second print?
Yeah, for the second print. What do you think we have now?
It's over 1,000. It's over
1,000, you think?
Yeah, I want to say.
Yeah. Thanks, D-Matt.
I'm probably way off either way. I'm gonna say 5,000 total.
1,710 of the second print. Of those, 769 are 9.8, and 548 are 9.6.
And that's as of today, because we don't know what they have gotten from December to current, because everybody knows they're behind. It could be sitting on 1,000 more. and
the variant of that you had mentioned, only 688 total. So almost 1,000 less. Wow. Now let's go to our final book, the X-Men 282. And this one is the most interesting of all because I've looked at it before. And looking at it again, this you're going to like this. So X-Men 282 from 1991. The second printing, the ugly gold second printing, has 116 on the census, and 25 of those are 9.8s, 34 are 9.6s. But if you remember what we just got through saying, the first print had 400,000 north of that copies printed, and it only has 3,928 on the census. There's more. They just haven't sent it in because it's been a trash $10 book that no one cares about from the 90s for 30 years.
It was like it's one of those books that when you're having an auction and you're showing some books, you're like, oh, if you add $10 more, I'll throw in this one.
Hey, you got a first appearance in there. Good for you, you know. But I mean, there's 116 of the second print. Based on our math, if this book keeps getting pushed and really hyped up, the second print of this, I would bet you by the end of the year, you can probably add another 1,000 to that number.
Oh, yeah.
And I bet you 50% of them will be a 9.8.
Yeah, because people probably just didn't touch them. They put them in a box. You might even find a case, because people have been finding cases of stuff that were overprinted, like the Lethal Protector, the Punisher from the 90s. Yeah, the Punisher from the 90s, the Spawn 9. So I guarantee you somebody's going to be like, oh, I got a case of a second print.
Yeah, just they're gonna send that in, pay even more money than usual because CGC raised their prices, and get all those 9.8 pre-screens, get them all back, and just have print money basically. I mean, yeah.
It'll be on the eBay store, and it's gonna be quantity, and you're gonna keep like, how many do they have?
So at the end of the day, I have learned one thing: we need to have a fifth book every time, because we've just now crossed over 40 minutes. But other than that, I think we've pretty much gone through all the books satisfactorily. So let's go over them again real quick. ASM 238, if you want it and you can afford it, buy it. We're not telling you what to do, but we would not recommend buying it in high grade now. And we wouldn't recommend buying it in lower grade just because you can afford it. Because it's not, I mean, it's low grade. It's one of those books that you should have in high grade, high being 8.0 or better, if you have it.
Yeah, because it's not that old of them.
Yeah. And be wary of the tattoos. Gargoyles #1. It does not have that age of nostalgia that Thundercats and He-Man, G.I. Joe has. So unless people just start to really love it on Disney Plus, and in a few years we don't see the price come down, it's probably going to be a crash and burn. And just be wary if you want to buy it, especially in the 9.8, because I don't think it's worth, even in a newsstand, $810.
Yeah, and you can still find that book. Maybe not Dollar Bench. You can still find it in back issues. If you have a good comic shops and they have back issues, you'll be able to find it.
Yeah. And then we had Ultimate Fallout 4. So if you got a second print of something and it doesn't really do anything to change it, like the New Mutants 87, it's gold now in the background. First off, that made it ugly. And second, that's not much of a change. Ultimate Fallout 4 second print Bagley version, you can see his head now. Whoop-de-freaking-do. If you're going to get a second print of that book, why not save yourself some money and get the one that's actually different because of the cover?
Yep. Yeah, and you can use examples as that because they have other books out there that's like that. They're not second prints, but they have other books that we can talk about, but they're like that. Like you said, I would go after a different cover done by a very popular artist, and then it's a great book. You get multiple signatures on with all of the white. It's another plus.
For example, Strange Academy. I have a couple copies of every printing. They've had 5 printings. They change the cover every time, so it's different. If it was just the same cover every time, I don't think it would even have a fifth printing. I mean,
People were buying them because the covers kept changing.
Yeah,
that's the reason why.
Well, they wanted to hear the story. That's why I got a second print. It might be why I got a third print, but definitely the reason why I got a fourth and a fifth print was because they were going to have a change in the cover. I mean, and then bringing it on home, the last book we talked about, X-Men 282. Again, they did the gold thing. Why? That makes it ugly. An ugly, ugly book.
And it's not even a good gold color. It's like
it's not a good gold color, and it's not a good first appearance, really. He's on the cover, and he's in like the last panel, and that's it. But if you're going to have it, get a first print. But I wouldn't overpay for the first print because it's been a trash book for forever. They printed a mega butt ton of them. That's a technical term. And, I mean, if you think there's a certain amount on the census now, this book blows up, hold on to your pants because there are going to be an influx of people who've had multiple copies. Like everyone I know just about it that collects comics has multiple copies of both printings, and they're all, in bagged and boarded in long boxes. They're going to send them in. They're going to get a 9.8, and the sucker that buys it as soon as they put it up for an inflated amount is going to be sorry, 5-6 months later when the price drops. So, And again, the second print, they made it gold, made it ugly, and they didn't change the art. So, I mean, you're not buying anything different, really. So I would stay away from it. But I mean, you do what you want to do. If you go for it and you want it, buy it. But that's what I would suggest.
Yeah. I'd say the same thing, and it's concur. Like just be wary of people pushing other printings with a higher print run. It's different when a book was only like 9,000 ordered compared to a book was probably 100,000 ordered.
Yeah, like what he's saying is if the first print nowadays, it's a good popular book if it has 20,000 copies printed. Mm-hmm. The second print would probably have less than 10,000 copies. We're talking about a book from 1991. There were over 400,000 copies of the first print. I'm going to assume probably over 100,000 copies of the second print. That's not rare.
Not even close. Not even close.
No. So we had fun. Last video, I had more thumbs down than I'd ever had on a video before. So that means we must have touched a nerve. So we'll see what happens this time with these books. And we see some other stuff we think maybe it's, bad advice. We'll do another one. If you guys really like it, I tell you what. You watch this, if you like what we're doing here, you like what we do, you want to see some more, tell us in the comments, hey, I like it, because that really lets us know. A lot of people will try and tell me on IG and tell me in the comments here. That's the best place. And give us a suggestion if you think you heard some bad advice on the book. And if we have about the same or more engagement as last time, we'll do it again. And I also want to point out, I had a thumbnail of bad advice, and I purposefully put the bad to the right and advice more to the left, which is bad when you're actually doing writing. It should be flipped, but this is bad advice that we're talking about, so I did it that way on purpose. And it was a bear walking on a graph that's going downhill. The reason I did that is when prices are going up, that's called a bull market because the bull does his horns up when he attacks. When prices start going down, that's called a bear market because the bear swipes his paw down to attack. So we're in a bull market now. We're in one of the best bull markets for comic books I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
But beware, the bear is coming. I don't know when. I don't know how hard he'll swipe. And I don't know if he'll be selective on certain books or if it'll be the whole kit and caboodle. But the bear is coming. Beware.
Yeah, the bear always comes in any market. So it always comes. So just like I said, beware. Beware. We don't know when it's going to happen. Just like people talk about the bubble. We're always in a bubble. Bubble just gets bigger. it gets bigger. We don't know when it's going to pop, but will it affect everything like you said, a bear market? Will it affect? Probably not. But we don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all we have for today. Thanks, Who Dat, for coming. Thank you guys for coming and being in the chat with us. Know we had some people there like Cantonese Comic Kid and Promiscuous Time Travel. They came in sort of at the end there. But feel free to watch the rewind. Thank you for coming and supporting. If you like it, tell us in the comments. If you got a suggestion, put it in the comments. Leave a like if you liked it. Leave a dislike if you didn't. And we will see you next time.